Hey, great to have you back to Your Money Matters. My name is Cabot Ray, and I'm here with Mike Martinez, who is the CEO and the founder of the Pension Group. And he specializes, he has for the last 25 years, in building investments towards retirement, towards a comfortable life in that wonderful season through pensions. Now, we've been focusing on pensions, but pensions on the corporate level. However, in my wife's case, in so many hundreds of thousands of others, millions probably, in Ohio, they get a state pension like state teachers' retirement. So how can you work with that?
Yeah, when you talk about, segmented interest rates, those are really only apply to corporate pensions.
Correct.
It does not apply to state pensions. So, my dad was a fireman for over 25 years up in Canton, Ohio, Pro Football Hall of Fame, and the pensions are changing more and more and more these days. And as you probably know, with your wife being a teacher, as she was continuing to work, kind of the state kind of pulled the rug back a little bit, and you got to work a few more extra years, or if you don't, you're not going to get the same percentage.
Right.
And
they moved to 35. At one point, it was 30 years, and then they moved up to 35.
Yeah. And if you want that same benefit, you got to work that extra 5 years. And then who knows, within that 5 years, they might have pulled the rug back a little bit more. So we see that all the time. But state teachers, we just had a couple clients in here of late last week where we helped them retire from the state. We went through all their options. And, I know the experience when my dad retired. Remember him coming down from Canton, Ohio, and coming down to Columbus, Town Street, where the pension fund's at. I mean, it's a huge building. And I remember my dad was a teenager at the time, and I made my pension decision. I'm retiring after 25 years as a fireman at 53 years of age. And long story short, I found out a few years back, my dad took the single life only option, which really, with my mom, wasn't the best option because if he passes away, she's in trouble financially. Now, she can get his Social Security, but that's not going to cover what my mother would need. But what a lot of these state teachers, SCRS, PERS, they're actually offering a partial lump sum option, which, some people that retired were not aware of it. There's, just like I educate people on options on segmented interest rates, or they work one day too long, they can lose all this money. A lot of people with the state don't realize that they actually have this as an option. On average, I would say that, you can have anywhere from, a minimum of $25,000 all the way up to $200,000, $250,000 that you can move outside of the pension from the state of Ohio and put that into an IRA. So it's, one of the concerns that I have is with state pensions. The 5 main pension funds in Ohio, or pick any state for that matter. But I know in the state of Ohio, the Columbus Dispatch announced that the state of Ohio's 5 major pension funds lost $32 billion. Again, B. Okay, $32 billion in their pension fund because of performance in the stock market.
Yes.
And guess what? Your wife's retired. Okay, she's getting a state pension. People are still getting that monthly check every month. And what's happening in the pension fund? It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So you might ask yourself, well, why did the state come out with this option for a plop? Well, I personally feel that the state of Ohio is in trouble from an actuarial standpoint of, basically saying people, we don't have enough money in reserve in order to cover that. Now,
you mean for the rest of your lives?
Yeah.
Versus taking just a partial lump sum?
Yeah. And, one of the things happened during COVID. One of the Southern senators, in the Carolinas, I think it was Byrd at the time, because, COVID happened, right? Yeah. And people were concerned about what, the economy, what's going to happen to my pensions, things like that. And the federal government basically came out and said, we're not backstopping state pension funds. And the only way the state could do that is to do what? Increase taxes. It's always coming back to taxes, increased taxes. So, I think it's smart, for individuals, because a lot of teachers that I sit down with, they don't do 403Bs. They don't put money into their own retirement accounts. And they, a lot of people have relied on pension systems, and maybe that's their only source of income because part of the change that happened back in 1985 under Ronald Reagan was the government offset on Social Security, which basically said if you get a state pension, you do not get the same amount in Social Security. You give up a third, 2/3, or even more.
Yes.
And that still bothers my dad to this day. My dad's 89. He still talks about Ronald Reagan. He hasn't let it go.
Well,
yeah.
But I mean, my wife is one of those again.
Yeah.
She didn't quite make the 35, but she gets from the state teacher's retirement every month. But had she had that option at that point, I don't know if she would have taken, but maybe would have taken a lump sum.
It's certainly been around over the last 10 years, maybe even longer, but it's not something that was really publicized.
Right.
You have to actually request it. So when you look at your pension statement for the state, it'll show you what your monthly is, but you're going to give up something. So, let's say your monthly benefit was $4,000 a month. It may be, if I want to take $250 now, it's going to be $3,000 a month. But now I have $250,000 that, we can enjoy maybe some retirement, manage it, and now it's in your control. Right. Because just like a state pension, like any other pension fund, I don't care if it's corporate or whatever, that's designed to pay you and or your spouse lifetime income. But what ends up happening if something happens to you and your spouse, your kids get nothing.
Yes.
So that's why moving maybe a portion of it. Again, they're still not allowing the full amount. They're only allowing you to do a portion.
Right.
And the most I've seen is, the highest is about $250,000 is what they allow you to do. But this is something that a lot of state workers are starting to look at because, maybe they haven't saved enough for retirement. Maybe they haven't put money into a 403B or a 457 plan. And those are some of the other areas that we can help manage.
So this can help jumpstart then to build additional income, in their final years of working, through another source, so they'd be in a little better shape then.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.